Welcome to the Rabbitohs Top 4 podcast, proudly presented by What If, official travel and pathways partner of the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Here are your hosts, Mark Ellison, Shannon Donato, and Jeremy Monahan.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rabbitohs Top 4 podcast, powered by Audio Technica and proudly presented by What If. What If has you covered for accommodation, flights, car hire and more. So if you're looking for a holiday, travelling for business, or you need to get to the next game, visit whatif.com/Rabbitohs. What If, it's Aussie for travel. My name's Jeremy Monahan. I'm the media manager here at the Rabbitohs. I'd like to welcome my co-hosts Mark Ellison and Shannon Donato. How are you, gents?
Very well, Jez. Good to see you back again doing the show. Mate, that's amazing how you work that. How do you know what button to push for music? That's got me beaten.
Well, I've got everything set out here on the desk. I've got my run sheet written here, and as you know, I managed to stuff it up the first time this morning. So
No, that's okay. Very intricate mechanisms there.
It is, but the old roadcaster, it does the job. Sure does. We'll give you a go next week, Ella.
Yeah, we might take about 4 hours to film the show if we do that.
Feel like an episode of Edward Scissorhands.
All right, 15 laughs, Shannon.
Shannon, how are you today?
Very well, thank you, Jez. How are you?
I'm very well. Ready to get underway here. Now, first of all, I wanted to thank the people that have given us a 5-star rating and provided some feedback lately. A bit of a shout out to two of our great members, David Morton and Jeremy Muir. They've both given us some great positive feedback this week. It sounds like the light entertainment that we're providing here on the podcast is suiting a majority of people. I also want to thank a gentleman called John Campbell who took the time to give us some feedback as well. His wasn't so glowing, but that's okay. We want to hear everybody's opinion on the show so that we can improve it every week. He was after some hardcore footy chat, and I responded to him and just said, look, that's not us. We're here for a laugh. If you want the hardcore footy stuff, have a listen to the boys on Rabbitohs Radio and the interviews during the week.
To be fair, we're expecting a lot more negative comments, weren't we?
Absolutely.
If you want to hear some footy stuff, you better speak to somebody who knows something about football.
That's a very good point.
Up the wrong tree, I can tell you.
That is a very good point. But we want to thank John, David and Jeremy for their feedback throughout the week. And if you have any feedback, please give us a 5-star rating on your podcast platform and leave a comment on the Rabbitohs Podcast Network. Now, as we do each week, what's something that you've learnt this week? We'll start with you, Shannon.
Well, coming into round one, I'm just getting more and more excited, and I've just learnt just how much I miss footy. I can't wait for Thursday night, particularly big game against the Storm. We haven't had much success down there, and we had the season launch last week, and just seeing the depth of our squad, there's such anticipation from me, from all of our members, our sponsors. It's a really exciting year. So what I learned is I can't wait. Bring on the footy.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, Shannon. The season launch was fantastic the other night. One thing I've learnt recently is that Harry and Meghan are out of the will.
That's true. Not a true word has been spoken on this podcast this morning. What an absolute bombshell that is.
Oh, yeah. It's just weird, all the machinations around it, and now Dad's come out and started back in the royal family against his daughter and things like that. It's amazing.
Oh, out of the will. That reminds me about a bit of slip up with my young bloke James. He was sitting on his grandfather's lap when he was about 4 years of age, and he said to his grandfather, my father-in-law, he said, "Pop, I want you to make a noise like a frog." He said, "Why?" He said, "Can you make a noise like a frog?" He said, "Please, Pop, please do it." He said, "What do you want me to make a noise like a frog for?" He said, "Because Dad said when you croak, we're going to Disneyland."
I like that.
Very good. I like that intro.
Pretty good for you, Shannon.
It is. It's not bad early on. Very good, man. A big shout out to James Donato for keeping his father sane as we head into the start of the footy season. For me, something that probably not learnt this week, but over the last couple of months, is that footy cards are back. Now, I remember when I was a kid, everything was about the footy cards. You'd go to school with your stack of cards with a rubber band around it, and you'd swap for your favourite players. Well, rugby league cards and sporting cards across the world are going gangbusters. Recently, a Tom Brady card, the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the GOAT as they call him in the NFL, one of his cards went for over $1.3 million US. It's becoming a place to invest these days. And rugby league cards, they're not hitting those sorts of levels, but they're starting to get up there, some of the cards, and the new set for 2021 came out this week, and that led me to go back into my archives at some of my cards that I had as a kid, and I wanted to look for my favourite player of all time, Mark Ellison, in his red and green gear, the one that I would have had from a kid, and I could not find it, and I found out the only card they ever released of him was this special card here, playing for the Sharks. It was a 1987 Scanlon's Mark Ellison Sharks card. Unfortunately, I still don't have the chewing gum that goes with it.
I'm surprised you got any of them, Jess, because I thought I'd bought every one of them.
Very good.
You know, that's very rare. The one of Ello running the ball, but what's even rarer is one of him making a tackle.
I might have to get you to sign that one later for me, Ello. Now, the next one I've got out of my archives is a 2002 Daily Telegraph Shannon Donato Panthers card. I think this may be one of the only ones that was made of Shannon as well. And speaking of your son, James Donato, that is the spitting image of your son right there.
I feel sorry for James.
This is what he's got to look forward to.
James,
46.
this is what's coming. This is what's coming.
What a chick
Now,
magnet.
What about the boys on...
You're actually smiling there too. You don't see that very often around the office, I must say.
Now, what about the boys on Rabbitohs Radio? I thought I'd better check them out as well. Darren Brown. I've got a 1992 Regina Darren Brown Rabbitohs card in his red and green. Brownie with the Paul Sirenen head tape trying to look tough.
Look at that. Fantastic.
I think he's packing into a scrum there, or maybe he's just leaning on a bloke at marker. Who knows?
Well, that's yeah.
Not sure what's going on
to
there
expand
with
on that, Jeremy, for sure.
Now, the piece de resistance. I have a signed 1988 Scanlon Steve Maven Rabbitohs card, and the beautiful pink colouring of the card. And again, no chewing gum coming with this one.
Look at that. He signed it, and he spelled his own name wrong.
There you go, Mavo. I've
dear.
kept that since 1988. So, anyway, footy cards, they're back. It's a great bit of fun. I know there's a lot of collectors out there, and the Rabbitohs are one of the teams that everyone likes to collect, so it's hard to get the full set of the Rabbitohs cards, but we do our best. Anyway.
Hey, Jez, have you heard about the you're just speaking about how rare and collectible, the non-fungible cards now? They're basically the virtual cards. They're selling for hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, the digital clips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I've heard some stuff about that, and there's a lot of conjecture about them because they're like, people are like, I can just go onto Facebook and watch that. What do I collect? And they're saying they're all numbered and they've got special serial numbers and microchips in them or something.
Yeah. Blockchain.
That could be the next big thing. But yeah, when I heard about that Tom Brady card going for over $1.3 million, I thought, geez, maybe that signed Mavo card, maybe that's got some, maybe that'll hit the million mark at some stage.
Yes. My one might get you a free pie at the. I said might.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's not a bad swap. Yeah. But anyway, right, we'll move on now to our first top four topic of the morning. It's the top four players that you would have liked to have played with in history. We'll start with you, Ella.
I had to think hard about this one, as you've seen each week. It's really hard to nail it down to four for me, but I just collectively, that group of Rabbitohs in the late 60s and 70s in those teams with the McCarthys, the Coots, the Sattlers and all that, and just to play in that team with such great players around you. I mean, back then they had reserve graders being picked to play for Australia. So players in reserve grade were better than other teams in their clubs, and that's in other clubs. So that's why they were so destructive in their time in that era. I think I'd have loved to play with Greg Inglis too. I think Greg Inglis, is arguably done some of the things on a football field that other players haven't done. He was the first player in that test match, the centenary test at the cricket ground, that actually hit the ball back in, full length, hit the ball back in for a try. And if you look at it, the athleticism for him to get to that ball and hit it back in for a try, I think that's the first time anyone had seen that happen. We've seen it since, but he could do that. That try he scored against the Broncos, I know I've mentioned this 100 times before, be on the sideline that day up at Suncorp and watch him. I think he beat about 8 or 9 defenders and looked like he was stopped 3 or 4 times. Yeah, having a player like that in your team and being able to play alongside him says, you're going to be hard to beat in most games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other players, there's many from my own era, but one player I always admired as a kid, and he played for Balmain and the Roosters and captain Australia, Arthur Beetson. He was a player that could offload the ball. He had amazing skill. He was quite quick for a big man, and he had leadership qualities that just exuded from him. You could see it, watch him on the field, that if he did something, all the players wanted to go with him. He's one of the greats of our game, And, you always want a good halfback in your team and someone who think you can change the game. And in my mind over the years, I talk about Greg Inglis as one of the great players I've ever seen. And there's many of them, but a guy like Andrew Johns, I mean, he was super in his era. And there were other players, halfbacks and players I compare Andrew Johns to. But Andrew Johns had it all. He was a really solid defender. He could score a try. He could set it up. His kicking game was magnificent. He was a leader like Beetson. And on top of all that, he was a top-class goal kicker as well. And he loved to party as well. That makes it even better, But no, I mean, he was a great player of his year. And I think playing in a team like that, if you're a back rower or a centre or a strike player, I think you just wait there and listen to what he'd tell you and just turn up where he wanted you to be. So I'm sure he'd get the football in a good spot. So there they are.
Oh, very good. Good top 42 there from Ello again this week. Fantastic. I like it. Shannon.
Jez, the Jag of the week's later, mate. Stop pulling us apart, mate. I've got feelings,
Very good. Shannon, your top 4.
Well, it'd have to be in this top 4. He's the great Mario Fenech. He was just mad when he played. Like, he just had his eyes rolling back in his head, and he would just kill anybody. And I reckon just to stir him up on the field, and I'd rather be playing with him than against him, that's for sure. But, yeah, Mario, I just think being part of that mayhem would have just been fantastic. Yeah. I would have loved that.
Well, Ella, you had the chance to play a lot of football with Mario. What was it like that? Was it just watch the eyes spin and let him go? Or?
Yeah, it was. I mean, his nickname was Test Match back in the day because every part of his preparation, game day, everything was just to the minute and to the best of his ability. He was as good a professional player, although we weren't in that era, but he was doing everything, ticking all the boxes back then. And before we go out on the field, he'd just call everyone in. There were no, game plans that we talked about. We'd already spoken about that. But he'd just say, let's go out and give it to these.
Yeah.
And that was it. The same every week. And obviously we had the team, to do that, really intimidate other teams. And he led from the front.
Yeah.
I recently watched a game of Mario, and you talk about, intimidating, and it was the Battle of Belmore where they were playing against the Bulldogs at Belmore, and there was, a lot of conjecture over who had the toughest pack, and they had Billy Johnson as hooker, and we had Mario, and, who was the toughest hooker in the game and who was the toughest pack in the game. And they've kicked off, somebody's returned the ball from the kickoff. Mario's gone the dummy half. He's picked up the ball and he's run and he's beeline Billy Johnson. And before he gets to him, he just throws the ball away and goes whack and starts belting Billy Johnson. And Billy Johnson could throw him, and Billy started throwing a few back. But it was just unbelievable. Just running with the ball, just throws it away. And he's into it. He did say get 3 years if he did that now. It was hilarious. So Mario's definitely one of the top 4, just mad and tough. Another guy who was tough, but he had a big influence on me. Actually, part of the reason why I stayed in rugby league was a guy named Jim Morgan. Played for Australia and played for South, a great front rower from up in Maitland. And he was one of his many nicknames was Gentleman Jim, and he wouldn't swear in front of women. He was very, just a lovely guy. He was very good to me as a kid. My family didn't have a car. He would drive me to training. And then here was this guy who played for Australia, and then I started hearing these stories as I got older about these. how tough he was. There was one famous, the Battle of Brisbane against Cliffy Watson, and Cliffy Watson's, headbutted him in the face, shattered his nose apart, and Jimmy just kept coming back at him more game. And it just didn't make sense. I had this lovely gentleman Jim, and this guy played for Australia. But then I realised blokes, the really genuinely tough guys like Les Davidson and Jim, they are gentlemen. They don't have to be psychos off the field. So Jim Morgan is definitely one of the South greats and one of the guys I'd like to play with. Another guy who had some time with South in a coaching capacity, but I learned so much from, and that's the great Johnny Lang. I would have loved to have played with Lang. He would have just been chirping away all the time. He wouldn't be taking a breath. But,
Surely he'd be one of the best ever talkers on the field as well, wouldn't he?
A great shout out to JL. He's a great man, renowned as a great talker. But, played for Australia, played Queensland. And I learned so much from him as a hooker. And I reckon, when he was coaching me, I reckon if I played with him, I would have learned even more. So JL's the third. And the fourth is the great Mark Ellison. I would have loved to play with Ello. He was in a tough era and a tough pack. He was a very skillful forward, and I reckon I would have learned a lot from Ello because I just had a very basic game, and that's giving myself a rap when I say very basic. But Ello had all the skills, and I reckon he would have been really good to learn from both on and off the field. And I reckon every away game he would have known the nearest Chinese restaurant. And I would have learned so much both on and off the field from Ello. So the great Mark Ellison's my four. What about you, Jim?
Do I owe you money?
No, just lunch at a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, my God.
A question I've got. Out of your four, you've named two hookers. Where are you playing?
Oh, yeah, very, very good point. On the blind side.
Very good. Very number 14 for Shannon Donato. I like it. My four players, obviously I didn't play football at the level that you guys did, but the four I would have loved to have played with. My number 4 was Brad Clyde, just an absolute workhorse and a thoroughly nice guy. I got to know him a little bit when he was the Bulldogs media manager back when I first started in this role here at the Rabbitohs, and he was very helpful and a great fella to chat with. So, and he was part of those Canberra teams that were just amazing football teams that came up against Ello's Rabbitohs team and those Balmain Tigers lineups. And he was one of those young guys that came through and played for Australia and New South Wales at a very young age and stayed there. He wasn't a flash in the pan. So Brad Clyde's my number 4. My number 3, as you mentioned, Ello, Greg Inglis. If he was in my team, the game plan would be get the ball to GI. It would just be get the ball to him at every opportunity, which reminds me of the old staff touch football team that we had when Reece Wesser first came on here at the Rabbitohs. We actually named the team Get It to Reece, and Reece turned up for one game. So a big shout out to Reece.
Must be an old team too.
The next year we named the team Don't Give the Ball to G. Yeah.
Well, funny story. The one game that Reece played, we were 7-all going into the final minute of the game. Reece's made a bust up the middle. I was out in my customary position on the wings. I didn't like defending in the middle in touch footy, too quick for me. I was out on the wing. Reece's made a bust. I've tried to follow him. He's thrown a beautiful left to right pass out in front of me, but he didn't realise I'm not as quick as Reece Wesser, and it was just past my fingertips, so I missed the winning try in the game.
I'm glad you said you didn't want to play in the middle because it was too quick in touch. I thought you were going to say because it was too tough.
No, too quick for me.
No, that's why Brock Schaefer was on the other wing.
Very good. Very good. Number 2 for me, Clive Churchill. I've heard all of the stories, obviously never saw him play, but I would have loved to have seen him play, let alone having played with him. But the stories that you hear that Billy Slater was similar to him, but potentially not as good as Clive, and the leadership of the man being a captain and a coach of this club, he's someone that I definitely would have loved to have played with if I had the opportunity or even just to have seen play.
There's a great story that someone relayed to me years ago about when he was coaching, and they were successful at that stage, but they'd lost 2 in a row or something, and the media, he was out in the middle of Redfern Oval with the team all around him, and the media had set it up. Oh, Churchill calls a crisis meeting at the Rabbitohs, and next minute there's just laughter. He's just called them all out there to tell them a joke. That's what it was. They went on and won the comp. It was a bit like Wayne in some ways.
I was going to say, is that where you learnt your coaching skills?
I didn't get my jokes from you, mate, I'll tell you.
Well, that reminds me of a story about Wayne. I know Wayne doesn't like people talking about Wayne, but I remember.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I remember 2 years ago, his first captain's run before round one, and we're playing the Roosters, and everyone was psyched up for it. I had Wayne Bennett's leading the team against the Chooks in round one. How could it get any better? All the media were down there getting ready for Wayne's hilarious press conference afterwards. And I thought, I wonder if the boys will put on a show here. They'll show just how slick they're looking leading into this season. Anyway, Wayne had them play AFL. The whole captain's run session. And all the journos are coming up to me going, what's going on here? I said, don't ask me, ask him in his press conference later on. So excellent stuff there. Clive Churchill, my number 2. Number 1, in similar vein to you, Shannon, Mark Ellison.
Oh, my goodness.
My favourite player as a kid. I would have loved to have played with you, Ello. It was great watching you play. It was great lining up for your autograph absolutely every week, except not on that filthy Cronulla card. But, yeah, I would have loved to have played with Yellow, my favourite player as a kid. So that's my top 4 players there.
I think at the start of the show we said we don't talk much about football because we don't know much about it. After naming me in your top 4, I think that's correct.
Well, we know it's your shout for bacon egg rolls before next week's show anyway now, Ella. So very good. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Now, the official Rabbitohs merchandise store, it's located down at Heffron Park Tennis Centre on Bunnerong Road in Maroubra. So if you're looking for the latest Rabbitohs jersey, the polo shirt that we're all wearing here, obviously they've got sizes for big boys if you're looking for one, T-shirts, hats, flags, anything that you can think of, then head down to Heffron Park and see the merchandise team, Matty Perrison down there and the boys, and they can help you out. And it's right near where the new Community and High Performance Centre is going to be built down at Heffron Park, right in the heart of Maroubra. You can also shop online at shop.rabbitohs.com.au. And Shannon, you're head of commercial. Have you seen a lift in merchandise as we head into round one and everyone getting ready and decked out for season 2021?
Certainly have, Jez. There's lots of kit out there already, and we've got our new apparel sponsor in Classic who've put out some fantastic kit, including these black and gold polos that we're wearing today. If they can make us look good, they can make anyone look good. So thank you to Classic, and make sure you get out there and get your merch in time for the first game of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Head down to Heffron Park, go into the tennis centre and check it out, or online at shop.rabbitohs.com.au. Now, our second and final top 4 topic for today's podcast, the top 4 sledges you've heard or said yourself. I might kick off with you for this one, Shannon.
All right, thanks, Jez. The first one was actually off the field, and it was from the great man himself, Shane Richardson, actually, who was prone to a bit of sledging. And I remember going in, this when I was still playing football for a contract negotiation, I'm thinking,
didn't he call it employee feedback?
Yes. Yes. What a great euphemism. Employee feedback, yes. And I was still playing. I was going in for my contract renewal, and I'm thinking, how am I going to handle this? Richo's a pretty tough bugger. And anyway, this is how we started the discussion. Shannon, I've got you on minimum wage, and I still reckon you're overpaid. So, yeah, it didn't go really well, but I thought that was a great sledge. I've got you on minimum wage and you're still overpaid. So, so I'll give number 1 to Richo.
Oh, very
the
good.
Great man. My brother Nathan, supposed to be a loving, supporting brother, and he is actually in most areas, and was a good footballer himself, played lower grades at South and the Tigers, but we won't mention that. And a lot of,
I think they got you mixed up with him when they were selecting. They meant to pick him.
I think so. Very good, very good. And he came out and he watched me play about my third first grade game, and I was really excited. My older brother was there, and one of the first games he saw me live. And you've probably heard me use this expression, but he was the first time I heard it, and he used it with me. And I said, how did you think I went? He said, good, but I'm going to start calling you the Labrador from now on. You spent so much time bludging on the blind. So thank you to my loving brother Nathan for that one. The other one, and I think he's used this on a couple of players, but he definitely used it on me, was the former Rabbitohs coach and great Australian second rower, Gordy Tallis. Played against him in one semi-final, and they knocked us out when he was still at the Broncos. And we were packing into a scrum, and they got, it was 16 points ahead with 10 minutes to go or something. And he knew we couldn't come back and beat him, so he said, "Oh, boys, have a beer for me tomorrow, Mad Monday. Hey, have a good Mad Monday. We'll have a final to prepare for. You'll be having your Mad Monday." And it sort of always irked me a little bit. I thought, it's a bit harsh. They've got us beat. The season's over. We're a bit down and still sledging and heckling. So, I just always stuck with me. I wasn't really angry about it, but finally got a chance to play the Broncos in a semi-final where we were knocking them out, and it just sort of came back to me just as we were about to pack a scrum, and we were ahead by about 16 points, and the Broncos couldn't beat us. And I thought, I'm going to scream, "Hey, Gordy, have a 4X tomorrow at the Mad Monday for me." I thought, that's a good way to come back, really bright. And he turned around to his mates and he said, "Can somebody get me a big league program so I can find out who this myth is?"
Very good.
Too good for me, Gordy. Way
Very
too good.
good.
I think he's used that with a few people. And then and the fourth one is actually from my colleagues here at the Rabbitohs.
Throw off. Throw off.
It makes me feel better about myself. The fourth one, Jez mentioned our touch team here that we have for all the staff at the Rabbitohs, and we were playing one time and we finished our last game, and I said to one of the boys said to me, actually, "Oh, that shirt's a bit snug. You're going to have trouble getting it off." And then one of the other staff said, "Getting the shirt off, it's that tight. I thought it was painted on."
Very good.
So yeah, they're my four sledges, which probably speak to my football ability or lack thereof. So
Was that the touch team where there's video footage of you limping from the field with 2 torn hamstrings?
it is, and that's as fast as I got all year actually. So yes, that is the same touch team. Hence, I don't play anymore. That exercise, I love it. I could sit and watch it all day, but it's not for me anymore.
Very good. Hello, what have you got?
Yeah, I haven't got 4 of them, Jez, but I've got one that just came to mind then when Shannon was talking about it. Just one of my best mate, Russell Byrne. When I came back into coaching, I came back and I was excited about getting back with the Rabbitohs, everything like that. And at the time, just previous to when I started, there was a coach at the Panthers. The Panthers were really struggling. His name was Lenny Stacker, right? And he didn't have a lot of success, but a lovely bloke. Didn't have the cattle on that to get any results, but I think they were wooden spooners, and he was going to get the chop or something next year. So he gave me the nickname of Lenny Stacker. So every time he said, "Ello's going to coach," that's the next Lenny, he'd tell me. It's probably right.
Just by coincidence, our guest next week is Lenny Stacker. So we can talk to him about that.
His family. We sit at home.
Well, can you put him in another room and we'll zoom him into this one?
Very good.
Another good one was, I love cricket, and I followed it a lot and played a little bit when I was younger. But in an Ashes Test match, there was this bowler from England, Jimmy Orman, on debut. He was a spin bowler, and he's come up bowling to Mark Waugh. And Mark Waugh's hitting for 3 4s and a 6 in the over, and just give it to him, and then gone up and quietly said to him, "Mate, said, how does it feel to be the worst player to ever debut for England?" He said, "Oh, I don't know, mate, but at least I'm the best cricketer in my family."
That's a great line. That is a great one. That is a great one.
And the other one, Viv Richards, was playing county cricket many moons ago. We all know how devastating he was playing cricket. And another young fast bowler from England was charging in. He bowled one wide outside off stump, and Viv's had a swing at it and missed. Right. Then the next ball he's coming, he's wayward. The ball's swinging everywhere. He couldn't handle the conditions. It's gone down the leg side. Viv's tried to clip it off his toes. He's missed it again. And this young bloke, bowling against the master blaster, one of the greatest batsmen of all time, says to Viv, "Mate, you know what a cricket ball is, mate?" He said, "It's a little round thing like that. It's got stitches around it like that. If you bowl like that, it'll swing that way. If you bowl this way, it'll cut back in that way." And Viv didn't say a word. Anyway, the next ball he's charged and he tried to bowl it on the stumps. Viv's just picked it up and hit it straight out of the ground and over the grandstand. He said to the bowler, You know what it looks like, mate. Why don't you go and find it?
Oh, very good. That is good.
That's about me. That's me.
I like that one. Well, I've only got one to add. Obviously, I didn't hear any on the NRL field, but there's a great story about Steve Walters and Benny Elias. We mentioned Mario earlier on and his great rivalry with Benny Elias, so I'm tipping that Benny was pretty good with the lip. So him and Steve Walters going head-to-head in a State of Origin game, niggling each other the whole time, and I think a bit of a fracas broke out, and they got each other's by the collar and getting into each other, and Benny must have said something to Steve, and Steve's gone, "Oh, settle down, mate. I've got to play for Australia next week." I thought that was a very good What about just sledges in general? Who were the best blokes on the lip out on the field when you guys were playing?
Oh, Tugger. Tugger was the best.
Yeah.
He was the best of all time. I mean, yeah, I could have come up with 18 of them today, but I can't put them on the show.
Yeah.
He was he'd just give it to them, but that was part of the game. That was part of the game, and you know what? It stayed out there too. Which is good. It probably still goes on now.
I'm tipping I know another little cheeky halfback.
I know, yeah, Renault does a bit, but I don't hear them obviously because I'm not out in the field. But yeah, Tugger was very good at it, and just to put players off their game here and there, and some players handled it and they knew what it was all about. But you could stir people up with it.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
Tricky Trindle, he was a great heckler. Actually, I remember. I remember one game at North Sydney Oval. He's just into Daisy and Gary Larson and Billy Moore, and I could just see them getting more and more fired up. And it was a pretty close game, and we're ripping and tearing. And I made the mistake of going down the short side on the cricket pitch on the eastern side of North Sydney Oval, and one of them got me. He winded me, and the other one slammed my head into the ground. I had concussion, and I was sick that night, and I just blamed Tricky for the next week. I said, "Mate, you were the one stirring up. You gave me concussion."
It's interesting you mentioned Tugger there, Ello. I remember seeing an interview with him, and he was talking about the great Les Davidson and how tough he was, and he used to say to Les, "You do my fighting and I'll do your talking."
Yeah,
mate.
right. That's right.
I'm tipping the talking probably led to some of the fight at some stage. So.
Yeah. Oh, I did. It stirred up. It was good banter. And I think it more so happened back in the day too. I mean, these days they've got microphones and that everyone can hear what they're saying. So people, the players are aware they've got to be careful what they're saying and that on the field. So, but back in the day with no microphones and some of the refs used to cop a bit of a sledging too.
Yeah.
But we won't go into that either.
I'm sure they did from the crowd as well. So some of the referees over the years. But that's a great look back at some of the more fun times in your careers. Thanks for those insights there. Now, we've mentioned this initiative from the Rabbitohs over the last couple of weeks. It's Rabbitohs Plus. It's a new initiative from the club which will provide services for Rabbitohs members and supporters that they use every day. Things like mobile phone plans, travel deals, home and contents insurance, credit cards, car insurance, home loans, anything that you can think of, those everyday items. Rabbitohs Plus can provide for you and your family some great deals. So you check those out at plus.rabbitohs.com.au, and Shannon, it's been quite popular.
Certainly has. Our members have been signing up in droves, and I'm not surprised. As I've said previously, we've worked really hard with our partners to make sure that they're really, really competitive offers. I mean, we've got prepaid phone plans for as low as $15, so there's something from, the lowest price point right up to lots of data, and that's not just across prepaid phones and SIM. There's credit cards, there's insurance products, there's finance. So I encourage all Rabbitohs members looking for a good deal to jump on and have a look.
Very good. Check that out at plus.rabbitohs.com.au to learn more about Rabbitohs Plus. Now, our trivia question from last week's show was pretty much all about England and English players, and we mentioned the great Henderson Gill that played 8 games for the mighty Rabbitohs back in 1985. But our trivia question from last week was, how many tries did he score in that 1985 season? Now, have you guys done your homework on this answer, or have you got a guess?
8.
Eight tries in 8 games.
I haven't done my homework, I must admit. So I'll say 10.
10 tries. Well, you haven't done your homework, so detention after this for you. But the
You sound like you enjoyed that.
Can we do detention in the bistro?
What, sit there and you're not allowed to eat?
I'll do my homework next week.
Very good. The answer to that, from his 8 games, he scored 4 tries. So he scored against Illawarra, Canberra, Parramatta and Cronulla. And what an entertainer he was, Henderson Gill, those post-try celebrations. I think he was one of the first ones to kick those off, and they became such a phenomenon over the past 20 years.
Those fantastic dance moves after he'd score a try reminded me of a young Mark Ellison up at Randy Wicks after a Rabbitohs win. Fantastic move.
I was going to say, can you show us how it was done?
I'm stuck in my chair, actually.
Very good.
Randy Wicks, what an establishment.
Fantastic venue.
Are they a sponsor? No, we won't mention them again. Our trivia question for this week. Now, the great John Sutton, Ello, you kicked off your segment on the Insider program with Sutto again this week. The Playmakers, we're looking forward to seeing that on the Rabbitohs digital channels. But he's the most capped first-grade player in South Sydney's history, all the way back to 1908. He played 336 games. Now, who is second on that list? This might catch out a few people, I think. I think some people might have an idea who it is, but they might get caught out. Now, the hint is he played 218 first-grade games for the Rabbitohs. And what amazes me with that stat is Sutto has played 118 more first-grade games than the man second on the list. It's just a phenomenal career that Sutto managed to produce here at the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, he played many of those games, you know, when the club was struggling, and he was always the go-to man for us back then, and you know, it's just been a tribute to him that he wanted to stay at the club all that time, and you know, I think he'd still be playing if the off seasons weren't as treacherous as what they are with the training and that, but. Yeah, he's been fantastic for the club, and he's doing a good job. He's developing every week, and he's assistant coaching role at the SG Ball. He's doing courses, you know, so he develops his coaching, and I think he's enjoying life, which is good.
And a proud Kenzo boy. He's a life member of Kenzo, my junior club. He's had a fantastic career, obviously for the Rabbitohs, but even as a junior coming through, he won a stack of premierships with Kenzo. There's a big mural there on Kenzo Oval of Sutto, and he's my favourite Rabbitoh of all time, because all of those things, you know, he stuck when times were tough, and he helped pull us out of the mire, and was a big part of the reason why we won that 2014 grand final. So I was glad he could hold up the trophy, and it's even better that he's still giving back with our junior reps now. He's a fantastic fella and a fantastic club man.
And we commemorate that in the at the Oval at Redfern, you know, the players' video room where they go in every day. There's a big picture of John Sutton holding that trophy up in 2014. So he's well thought of still today, as he always will be at the club.
I've got to say, that try that Latrell Mitchell scored in the or didn't score, set up Cody Walker for in the Charity Shield game a few weeks ago, that reminded me so much of John Sutton. The way he held that pass up, he had all the time in the world, got the pass around the back of the defender. Latrell, and we don't like to make the comparisons, but a lot of people draw the comparison with Greg Inglis because of his power game. But that game of touch and finesse, that's got John Sutton written all over it.
Yeah, Sutto, I was lucky to coach Sutto, you know, at the start of his career here in the under-20s and that. And he could play hooker too and bamboozle the markers. You know, he just had that feel for the game, and they call it peripheral vision and things like. He had that, but he just had a feeling of timing as well. He knew when to go to the line quickly or when to slow down. He knew how to get across a player to get to someone out wide. And one of the biggest things, he was always big, Sato, about playing through them rather than going around them. And often, you know, during games through his career, the half-time was about, let's not go around, let's go through. And he'd say that. And, you know, you come out after half-time and within 5 minutes we're down attacking their line, everyone thinks we're going to do this mad shift. There's a big dummy from Sano. You go through them and score and put us on the right track again. You know, he's got an incredible football brain.
He does, actually. When he did his peck, I think it was in round 1, we played the Roosters maybe 4 years ago or something, and he did his peck in his shoulder, and he was out for a significant amount of time, and he couldn't even train at one stage, so we used him to do some media and stuff. We were promoting games up at Cairns at the time, and then Western Australia. So I got to, and I was taking him around. We're doing all this promotional work, and I got to spend a lot of time with him on the plane, and I was just amazed at his football knowledge. He's like a professor of football, and I've never professed to be an expert, and my knowledge of the game is limited, very limited. But just the way he could read a game and talk about a game and different plays, just absolutely amazing. So he's obviously already great for our NRL squad, but he'll be great for those junior players in the rep sides that he's coaching on the way through too.
Yeah, I think we might have to, one morning when he's out for an early surf up at the north end at Maroubra, we might have to get him in afterwards to come in and join us one week on the Top 4 podcast, because I'd love to talk to him about his career and growing up in the local area and his top 4 on a few different topics.
I thought you might want to take it on site and get on a board next to him, Jess.
Want to be a thick ball, Need to be thick to float me out there.
In the Amazon forest. We don't need any more trees going. Yeah. I'm sure Sutter would love that. We all know how much he loves the media and microphones. Jez, he'd be really looking forward to that.
No, we'll get him in. Shout out to Sutter, great man. Now, if you're looking for your next epic holiday or maybe a long weekend away with your mates, or you need to get to the next game, of course, we play some travel games throughout the year, then it's time to What If It. What If has a great deals on accommodation, flights, car hire and more. Plus, because they're the official travel partner of the South Sydney Rabbitohs, you can head to whatif.com/Rabbitohs and use the promo code Rabbitohs15 to save 15% on selected hotels. Now, conditions apply with that offer, but head to whatif.com/Rabbitohs and check it all out. That promo code is Rabbitohs15, and What If, it's Aussie for travel. And What If have really got behind the club. They sponsor quite a few different things, are involved in our pathways, involved in the digital side of the business, and it's great to have What If on board.
Absolutely is. Daniel Finch, the managing director there, a great guy. He's, not only do they financially support the Pathways teams and the podcast to make all these things possible for our members, but they obviously support our members and supporters with their discount through the website if you book through the Rabbitohs side. And he's also emotionally invested, Daniel Finch. When we won the under-20s a couple of years ago, I fondly remember not only was he the major sponsor, but he was in the dressing room after the game out at Bank West with the squad cheering, had his son there, Presley, and I just thought he's everything that we wanted at the Rabbitohs and our partners. He's committed and supportive both financially to keep us strong, but emotionally as well. So I encourage all of our members and supporters to support those that support the Rabbitohs.
Very good. And yes, shout out to Daniel Finch and the whole team at What If. It is Aussie for travel. Well, here we go. We've been waiting for this since last week, since Shannon's fabulous joke that he told that got us in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, sorry to all those inmate listeners down there at Goldman Supermax. I apologise for the Ivan Milat joke.
Mark Ellison, your joke of the week.
It takes a little while, this one, but
Okay.
I think it's worth. The punchline's pretty good.
Okay. Let us know when to say it.
Let us be the judge of that, Ella.
There's two good mates, and they reside down in Bermagui, and they'd have a beer most afternoons at the Bermagui Boat Club down there. And one was Jack, and the other one's name was Billy Bloggs. And Billy just had this knack of knowing everyone in the place. Jack's his best mates. He'd have a beer with him. Every time he'd be just about to take a sip or have a chat with him, someone else would come up and start talking. And Jack was starting to get a little bit pissed off with him. He said, Billy, he said, I try and have a beer with you. Is there anyone in this world you don't know? And Billy said, well, no, I don't think there is, Jack. He said, I like to get around. I'm social and I like to let know a lot of people. He said, mate, I tell you what, I know you're a Labor voter, so there's no way that you'd associate yourself with ScoMo. I said, oh, yes, yeah, I know ScoMo, yeah. We went to uni together back in the day, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he said, rubbish, there's no way you'd associate yourself with ScoMo, right? So he said, I do. He said, I'm just telling you I know. He said, I want to go to Canberra. We'll get up to Canberra, all accommodation, flights, everything. The loser pays, right? If you know ScoMo, I'll pay for, and I want to get to see if you know him. So anyway, they go up to the lodge at Canberra, and Parliament's sitting, and ScoMo's up saying a few words in Parliament. Billy walks into Parliament. And ScoMo stops. Oh, Billy, how you going, Billy? He said, yeah, sorry, guys, but I've known Billy a long time. We went to uni together and everything like that. And poor old Jack, he's devastated. He thought he didn't know him, and he thought, I'm sick of this. He said, plus it's cost him for the accommodation and the flights and everything. So anyway, they go back to Bermagui the next week, and they're just having a beer again. The same thing's happening. Jack's thing, he said, I know he loves his footy. He hates Queensland. So there's no way he'd know Wayne Bennett. He says, mate, do you know Wayne Bennett? Oh, yeah, we're good mates. He said, I've helped him out a few Origin series. I know I'm a New South Walesman, but we're good enough mates that I've gone in and helped him out. So he said, no way, you don't know Wayne. He said, so we're going to bet on this one as well. We're going to have to go up visit the Rabbitohs and see Wayne. But anyway, so Wayne's in the video room there and going through the preview for the game, and Billy walks in with Jack. Wayne stops everything. Says, "Oh, Billy, how are you, mate? How are you? What, do you come down to help me out with the Rabbitohs as well?" He said, "We're pretty good with Queensland, weren't we?" When you saw it, Jack's nearly fallen on the floor. Right? It's cost him to come up to Sydney this time. Right? Anyway, they get back down there, and he's just devastated. Jack, it's cost him a fortune. He's singing. Billy's an atheist. Obviously doesn't believe in any religion or anything. There's no way I'll know the Pope. So he says, you don't know the Pope. He said, oh, come on, mate. He said, I've taken all your money now. The flight's over to Italy to go to the Vatican. That's a bit expensive, mate. I don't want you coughing up for that. But he said, I know. Do you want me to get him on the phone or something like that? He said, no, anyone can do that. He said, I'm going to go over. We got to go over. You don't know him. So anyway, they get over the Vatican and they turn up, and there's 60,000 people waiting for the Pope to come out on the balcony. And Jack said, well, how are we going to know if you know the Pope? He said, well, I'll just get through the crowd. I'll come out on the balcony with my arm around the Pope, all right? So you just stay there. I'll do all the work. And if I can do that, do you believe I know him? He said, yeah, you won't be doing that, yeah. He said, I'll get all my money back here because he's paid for the trip and everything like that. So anyway, there's this big roar goes up, and the doors open on the balcony, and out comes the Pope with Billy Bloggs with his arm around him. And Jack, he's just lost it. And then Billy's sitting up there looking for Jack down in the crowd, obviously hard to see. But there's this big fight that's broken out with these two guys down in the crowd. And Billy's looked over and he's seen Jack in this fight. So he thought, I've got to go down and help him, right? So anyway, off he trots and gets down there and he breaks the fight up. And there's a bit of claret coming out of Billy, but the guy, he's given it to the guy, he was fighting everything. And Billy said, Jack, what are you doing, mate? He said, you can't do that. What's going on? He said, look, mate, I could handle ScoMo. I could handle Wayne Bennett. But when this bloke said, who's that bloke standing up there next to Billy Bloggs? He said, that's when I lost it.
It was worth it, Ello. It was worth it, the wait. Very good. Oh, Shannon. Now I feel sorry for you. Because in 7 days' time, you've got to top that with Shannon's joke of the week without offending anybody.
Very good. Yeah, that is doubly hard. I'll tell you what, if the joke goes that long, that'll be the whole episode.
You know what? I know Billy quite well. We'll get him in as a guest too. We'll get him in as a guest one week.
He might have a few friends he wants to bring in.
Oh, that's a winner. Well done, hello. Very good. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Of course, you can contact us with topic suggestions by filling out the form at rabbitohs.com.au/podcasts or contact us via Twitter using @SSFC Rabbitohs and the hashtag Top4Podcast. Also, send us some pics of where you're listening to the Top 4 Podcast. We want to try and grow our audience to as many countries and cities around the world, so it'd be great to see where exactly you are listening. Don't forget, if you feel the need, you can write us a glowing review and give us a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcasts. And please hit the subscribe button to automatically add our podcast to your feed every week. Now, don't forget to tune into our other podcasts on the Rabbitohs Podcast Network, including our regular media conferences leading up to games, including Wayne Bennett's press conferences, which we're going to get this week. It's always a bit of a laugh the way he handles the media each week. And don't forget our audio version of the Rabbitohs Insider video that you can find on rabbitohs.com.au, the Rabbitohs Facebook page and other Rabbitohs digital channels. You can also tune into Chaps, Mavo and Brownie on Rabbitohs Radio podcast for some more hardcore footy chats and their take on the Rabbitohs Football Club. It's always a great show and they're doing a great job at Rabbitohs Radio. Great to have them as part of the family. There they are there. Of course, that signed Steve Maven card. That's my retirement right there. Come on, Mavo. Talk it up. Talk it up. We need a buyer. We'll be back next week with more from the Rabbitohs Top 4 Podcast. It's powered by Audio Technica and proudly presented by What If. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us again, and I'm looking forward to next week already.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to be here, Jez, and I'm enjoying each week.
Very good. Do you mind if I borrow that joke, claim it as my own, and tell other people?
You can do that, Jez. You can do that if you can remember it.
I'll just ask Billy to remind me.
Got a spare afternoon.
Thank you, Shannon, for your time. Again, I know you're a busy man. It's great to have this hour or so with you every week and have a good laugh midweek. It's great.
You're welcome, Jez. I really enjoy it myself, actually.
Excellent. Righto, thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you next week on the Rabbitohs Top 4 Podcast, proudly brought to you by What If.
Thanks for listening to the Rabbitohs Top 4 Podcast, powered by Audio Technica and proudly presented by What If, official travel and pathways partner of the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Support the club and visit whatif.com/Rabbitohs to book your next trip. Don't forget to use the code Rabbitohs15 to get 15% off select hotels. Conditions apply. What If? It's Aussie for travel. Please leave us a 5-star rating and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Up the Rabbitohs.